across the labor movement was the platform that absorbed majority of the student leaders right then. But because of the end of the Cold War, the human rights movement became the emerging platform that absorbed student leaders that were graduating from the universities. So this was how many of us found ourselves into the Civil Liberties Organization, which I must say was not founded by activists. It was actually founded by Olisaba Koba, Clement Nwankwo, and others who were lawyers and were using legal instruments to fight against human rights violation.
From my experience working with the Nigeria Legal Aid Council as part of my youth service, I was able to understand a whole lot of issues that confronted citizens. As well, when I was in the university, I was part of the creation of a couple of what do you call school clubs.
Yeah, I guess in my capacity as the late Dr. Beko Ransom Kuti's daughter, was actually in the sense that he was actively involved in medical politics, but not activism as we call it. You know, he was a very strong member of the Nigerian Medical Association. So, and the Nigerian Medical Association was a very, very strong force against the military regime at that time. It was their efforts, not just my dad's, but collective efforts that brought about the return to civil rule.
Gary Sola on the, he's a great friend, a mentor, and I don't know, she was also a great inspirer. Yeah. So I'm really highly honored to be asked to speak for her. In her case, she was born into activism. Her mother was Iyalode of Ibadan and the first senator in Nigeria. Then secondly, you know, I don't know, when you are educated, when you are sure of yourself, when you know your onions, you can talk in front of anybody. You can say your mind.
She started very early in life to fight for her rights. You know, if you had a discussion with Obi and he went in line with women's rights, whether women are inferior or superior, you can never beat her in that argument. She would take you for hours on end. She was bent on fighting for women's rights.
Emma Ezezu, incidentally, was a historian. He read history in Nsukka, and he was a student leader. He was a former president of the National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS. And during Emma time, the country was facing serious economic crisis orchestrated by the SAF and other military dictatorship, tendency.
July 1990, a community, one of Nigeria's largest slum communities, was demolished by the military government under very atrocious circumstances. With just 7 days' notice, announced over the radio. Over 300,000 people were thrown out of their homes. Now, I was witness to that demolition and the very valiant effort that the CLO had made to stop it, using the courts, brought an action to, get an injunction to stop that demolition. But that effort, failed, not because the effort itself was, flawed in any respect. As a matter of fact, it was a very, determined effort that the CLO made to stop that demolition. But because the judicial system at the time was heavily compromised, in relation to the military, the chief judge of the state, turned down CLO's request to have the case assigned to a judge who would hear that case and hopefully, grant that order of injunction. But they didn't hear the case, didn't bother to even assign it until the demolition was completed. Now, as a young lawyer, observing this, I was stunned that this could happen, that the entire court system in Lagos State at the time was unable to respond to this urgent, very important need to, help save the homes of over 300,000 people. But also as a human rights worker, I realized as well that, the toolbox that was available to CLO was also very limited because litigation was CLO's most potent strategy. And there it was, just the sheer connivance of a judge or a few judges completely knocked out, CLO's best game, best effort to, prevent that demolition. So that got me thinking about
confirm you can hear us.
We
Please
can hear you
confirm
now.
you can hear us. You can just all right, thank you very much.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Thank you.
Can you confirm if they can hear us? Okay.
Yes, go ahead. We can hear you now.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. So thank you guys for joining us. We really appreciate it. All right. So without further ado, what we okay. So we'll go to them. Anyone who wants to come to join us now, so that you will Okay, so while we still wait for other persons to join us, we can do a little bit of introduction, some round of introduction to know ourselves, at least on the first name basis, if that is okay. So like I said, I'm starting again with myself. My name is Joachim, and I work with Spaces for Change as the communications officer. So we'll start from you. Yes.
Okay. My name is Bayonle Olaoluwa. I'm a sign language interpreter from Observer Science Initiative. Thank you.
Thank you. So when you introduce yourself, you pass the mic to the person sitting close to you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Chetachi Louis Ude, Senior Legal Officer, Spaces for Change.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Patrick Alam. I work with Spaces for Change as a legal officer.
Good morning, everyone. I am Comrade Nelson Nana Nwafo. I work for Foundation for Environmental Rights, Advocacy and Development, FINRAD. I'm coming from Abia State. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Comrade Iman Acha. I work for IFE Africa based in Enugu, Nigeria. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ikechukwu Eziama for Symphony News.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Emmanuel Wazwe. I am a reporter at Afia TV.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Christiana Njoko. I work with Center for Citizens with Disabilities. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Juliana Francis. I'm a freelance journalist.
Good morning. My name is Okechukwu Wangoma. I work for Rule of Law and Accountability Advocacy Center.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Yusuf Yunus from the News Agency of Nigeria.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Peter Ozo from This Day Newspapers.
I work with Spaces for Change.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lawrence Obo, and I work with Spaces for Change as Program Officer, Civic Space Security.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Michael Itegwe. I work with Spaces for Change as the Technology Officer.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Judith Chiampaka. I'm the Digital Rights Program Associate at Spaces for Change.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Victoria Aholo. I work with Vision Spring Initiatives. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Bolo Atife. I work with Vision Spring Initiatives.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, colleagues. We'll on the floor to our virtual, our colleagues who are joining us virtually. So if you could please introduce yourselves. We can see some of you are joining us online. So if there are, okay, Matthew.
Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Matthew Oladile. I work with Initiative for Social Development in Africa. We are based in Niger State, Mina. Over.
Thank you, Matthew. I can see Yusuf. I can see Lawal.
Yeah, good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bachama Yusuf from Dandali Matasa Initiative for Rapid Development. I bring you greetings from the Jebel in the Savannah, Gombe State, Northeast Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yusuf.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, sir.
Okay. My name is Rafiul Lawal, Executive Director, Building Blocks for Peace Foundation. I'm joining from Abuja.
Thank you, Mr. Lawal. Okay, I can't see everyone's name. Okay. Who is the next person?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Akakan from Accountability Lab, Abuja.
Nice to meet you, Akakan. Welcome.
Hello. Hello. Good morning.
Yeah, we can hear you. Good morning.
Yes, good morning all. My name is Muhammad Misbah Basirka, or Comrade Misbah Basirka. I'm the Chairman Civil Society Coalition on Peace, Security, and Conflict Resolution based in Jigawa State from the Northwest. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you. Welcome, sir.
Thank you too.
Yeah. So, other colleagues on the call, please, can you introduce yourself?
Hello,
Good
everyone.
morning. Yeah, good
Hello,
morning.
everyone. My name is Fumilaya Babatunde. I work with Data Fight Foundation.
Good morning, everyone. S.A. Albert.
Welcome.
Can you
Thank you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Hello, everyone. I'm S.A. Albert, and I work with the Building Blocks for Peace
Yeah, we
Foundation.
can hear you.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. I'm S.A. Albert, and I work with the Building Blocks for Peace Foundation, Abuja. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther. Nice to meet you. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, good morning, everyone.
Yeah, we have a good. Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Ugochi Freeman, the coordinator, CSO's Media Accountability and Anti-Corruption Initiative, Anambra State.
Thank you, Mr. Gochi. Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hello.
If there
Hello,
are
good morning,
no other
everyone.
partners who would wish to.
Good morning,
Yeah, good morning,
everyone.
sir.
My name is Muhammad Zagadin. Working with Gaga Foundation, operating in Kano, Adamawa, and Abuja. Thank you very much.
Welcome, sir.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ekwan Olorunfemi from Restorative Justice for Africa Initiative.
Okay, nice to have you here. Thank you. Okay. Without further ado, thank you all for introducing yourselves, and it's more than a pleasure to have you join us today. So we'll move into our the occasion proper. So before we proceed, please permit me to invite to I won't call it the high table, but to sit amongst us. Who would be leading our sessions today. Yeah, you can see this, sir. Okay. Yeah, thank you. So also I'll be inviting on the Chief Hakariwe, Mr. Hakariwe San. Yes, sir. Senior Advocate of Nigeria. So Mr. Hakariwe San, the lead Mr. Lead Advocate, the lead lawyer that represented Mr. Acha in this case. Thank you, sir. So we're inviting also our hosts and the executive director of Spaces for Change that acts as the secretariat for the coalition. Yeah. Thank you, ma. So we're also inviting on some of the leading members of the fellow members of the Action Group on Spaces whose advocacy helped, who's coordinating advocacy helped in our efforts so far. So we're calling on Mr. Comrade Nana for fair rights. And Comrade Wanguma of Rulak. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So last but not the least, let me also invite also the senior legal officer of Spaces for Change, who also assisted with the legal officer that led to the release of Comrade Emmanuel Archer. So ladies and gentlemen, Barrister Chetachi Louis Ude. Okay, thank you all so much for honoring us with your presence. And without further ado, I invite Victoria Bezimo-Heri, Executive Director of Spaces for Change, to please give us her opening remarks. Thank you.
My voice is loud enough. Good morning, everybody. Those online, can you hear me very well?
We can hear you. We are with you. We can hear you very, very clear.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I warmly welcome everybody, whether online or offline or here in the room. I just want, with a note of joy, resounding joy, welcome all of you to today's press briefing. So before, when we have press briefing, it's just before to complain, to whine about something, to advocate for something. But today's press briefing is a different type of press briefing. And I would like to use the adage that my colleague Joachim had suggested, had mentioned. I heard it from him and I thought it was relevant. He said, "Anyokoma mirono obo fofo." And today's press briefing is a testament of Anyokoma mirono. And totally looking, what does that mean? So it simply means in Igbo, when people urinate together in one spot, you will see foam around it. It will begin to foam. So why we're having today's press briefing is that all of us urinated together in one spot. And we could see the foam. And the foam is Emmanuel is back here with us. You know, when we had the news of his arrest, first it was shrouded in a lot of secrecy and confusion. We were hearing different versions. What happened? Some said he killed somebody. Some said there were guns in his house. We were hearing many things. And I kept asking myself, is it Emmanuel, the one I know? Maybe we should wait and hear from him. And I didn't take any action. I was confused myself. But we have worked together with Emmanuel as the action group on free civic space, or from the research phase of the project. And we have built relative trust and confidence in one another. I didn't believe the stories I was hearing until Okewangoma and Nana. They went to take a deep dive. They went to the underground to put their ears on the ground to hear more. But when they heard more and came back, the stories didn't add up. There were too many holes in the story. And it reaffirmed the trust we already had in him that this is not a man. The character he has demonstrated consistently is not in alignment to these allegations. We have to come together and do something. And the beautiful thing about the action group is that it's a solidarity platform. Spaces for Change, I know sometimes people connect us with the action group. We're only a secretariat, but people do their thing in different regions. As you see online, different groups are online. These are our members in Kano, in Kaduna, in Abuja, in Port Harcourt, in Rivers. Our members are doing their own thing, but what unites us is solidarity. And we said, this is one matter. We know this has been happening in different parts of the country. We've been hearing it, especially on the database. If you have visited the Closing Spaces database, have anybody here, have you all visited the database before? If you have visited the database, you will see the incidents. We track them on a daily basis of crackdowns on the civic space. But you know what is different about those crackdowns? So many of those incidents are people we don't know. Like the man they took to Kefi prison on similar circumstances, like Emmanuel Archer, that he criticized the president and they took him. So the difference is that those stories, they sound like stories because we don't know them. But this particular case, this is somebody we know very well. And the claims were trumped baseless allegations. Baseless allegations, as we'll hear from the lawyers that handle the matter. But what we have done, what we want to do today is to say thank you to every one of you. During the different press briefings, especially the one that was led by RULAC, we called on the media, you came out. We issued press statements, you published. We made petitions, you aired them. We had interviews, you published them. Every time we made different clamors, you did not just listen, you did something. So today is an appreciation day. The aim of today's press briefing is simply to say thank you. Thank you very much for the various roles you have played as activists, as lawyers, as media men, as journalists, as human rights defenders. We want to tell you that every contribution you made is why Emmanuel is here with us. I want to say thank you. If you are Yoruba, Eshe. If you are Hausa, Nagode. If you are Igbo, Ndewo. So on that note, I welcome you to Spaces for Change. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Victoria. Just like you have mentioned, Anuko Magrono or Fofo. So we thank you so much for thank you so much for with all of us. we greatly appreciate it. So without further ado, we'll call on some of our partners to give us their personal reflections before we move ahead. We would like to hear from I don't know if James, Mr. James Savage is available now.
Hi, good morning, colleagues. Good morning, Joachim.
Okay, all right. So would have to hear from Mr. James on his personal reflections on this convening. Thank you.
Thank you, Joachim, and thank you and much appreciation for Madam Victoria and Spaces for Change team for convening this press briefing. It's as you said, Victoria, it's really a pleasure today to be together, to join you, to see so many familiar faces and members of the Action Group on Free Civic Space present in the room and here online like I am. But above all, to welcome you, Emmanuel, back into your community and back into the Action Group, to welcome your release. A couple of things I just wanted to share. How was that release achieved? And I think the first thing that we have to acknowledge and recognize and applaud is Emmanuel's resilience and resistance. 200 plus days in detention is a brutal experience. And he's come out of that with an incredible sense of his own power and the sense of the collective power that you have. I think the second thing to flag is the joint efforts of the Action Group members, using multifaceted strategies that you've had and deployed in the work you did together to help secure Emmanuel's release. And what does that say about the importance and power of collective action? It's incredibly important for solidarity, the solidarity of standing with Emmanuel, for the protection of activists who get spuriously targeted with these kinds of, false trumped up charges, and for the ability beyond that to drive an agenda that creates positive change in the long term. We were very happy as the fund. We've been, accompanying and supporting Spaces for Change in the Action Group for many years now, and I was very happy to hear from Madam Victoria that the small contribution that we could make to this in the form of the way that we support the collective with the flexible funds that we provide, which I gather enabled a certain sort of responsiveness, an agility, the rapid adjustments and experimenting and tactical adaptation that you used as you navigated how to help get Emmanuel released. And that kind of flexible funding and accompaniment, that sits at the heart of our approach to you all in Nigeria and to the collectives we support in other regions, in Kenya, in Uganda, and India and the Philippines and Mexico and Guatemala and lots of places where there are collectives like yours standing together for what is right. And I think there are many lessons to be drawn from this successful intervention and the ongoing work, anyway, that Action Group members and Spaces for Change are making, and to draw from other collectives across other regions that we're supporting, where we're trying to help build bridges and connections between those collectives to meet, such as when we've facilitated and helped you all to kind of go to Kenya and the colleagues in Kenya to come to Nigeria and just swap ideas and experiences. But I just want to zoom out for one moment, because while on the surface, this was an issue about the rule of law and one individual's right to due process, it is also a deeper issue of vested interests, unequal power, citizen agency, societal values, and the social contract between the state and its citizens, in which the notion of security is dominated and determined by the state, but which is lived and should be driven by human security principles and collective community voice. Across many regions and countries where we work with allies like you, when people are asked what does safety and stability mean for them, what do they need to feel safe and secure? The answer is not more militarization and more hard security. That's not their top choice. Yes, there is terrorism in some places, there is insecurity for sure, and you do need a robust security presence, but one that is rooted in human rights, one that is respectful of civic space. So feeling and being safe physically as a community is there amongst people's choices, but everyday safety and security to most people is knowing they can put food on the table, have decent housing, clean water, employment opportunities, a healthy environment, access to education, community cohesion, and so forth. And it is when civic space is free and civil society thrives that these everyday security and safety needs of our communities are most effectively met, which is why the relationship between security and human rights and security and civic space must change. And funders like us must recognize that transforming that paradigm and the relationships, institutions, and processes within it is long-term work. It's the work of a generation of civil society in Nigeria, across Africa, across the world. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And it requires a broad constituency of support and allies that the Action Group on Free Civic Space and its allies and supporters, of which we are privileged to count ourselves as one, embodies. And so we celebrate today your release, Emmanuel. It's fantastic to have you back in the group, in the community, back to doing the great work that you do. And we look forward to continuing this journey with you, with the Action Group and with Spaces for Change in years to come. Thank you very much, colleagues, and I'll pass you back to Joachim.
Thank you so much, James. And thank you so much for that very in-depth reflection. So we'll hear from Comrade Okechukwu Nwanguma to share with us some of his reflection on this subject as well.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to be part of this struggle. I noticed that Victoria had a written paper, but she spoke extempore. I am not as articulate and as brilliant as Victoria is, so I will read mine so that I don't miss out anything. So, ladies and gentlemen of the press, distinguished partners and colleagues, the Rule of Law and Accountability Advocacy Center, RULAC, is pleased to stand with Spaces for Change and the Action Group on Free Civic Space, AGFCSS, to mark the discharge and acquittal of Comrade Emmanuel Acha after more than 200 days of unjust imprisonment. This outcome is not just a personal victory for Comrade Emmanuel Atta and his family. It is a collective victory for the rule of law, for civic space, and for all human rights defenders who continue to work under increasingly hostile conditions in Nigeria. Comrade Atta's arrests, detention, and prosecution followed a familiar and troubling pattern. He dared to challenge the actions of a state government through lawful means, and in response, the full coercive power of the state was deployed against him. He was arrested in the early hours of the morning, denied immediate access to his lawyers and family, and charged with grave offenses that, as the courts ultimately confirmed, were unsupported by evidence. From the outset, RULAC viewed this case as emblematic of a wider crisis: the criminalization of dissent, the weaponization of the criminal justice system, and the use of strategic litigation against public participants to intimidate and silence critics. What we witnessed in courts was revealing. Despite the severity of the allegations, arms possession, murder, instigation of violence, the prosecution could not produce firearms, could not produce victims, and could not establish any credible link between Comrade Atta and the alleged crimes. The law prevailed, but only months after months of unnecessary suffering, disruption of family life, and the chilling of civic engagement. This case underscores an important lesson. Justice delayed may still be justice delivered, but it leaves scars. Scars on individuals, scars on families, and on the democratic space. It also highlights the indispensable role of solidarity. And Victoria has underscored that, Savage underscored that. It also underscores the indispensable role of coordinated advocacy, strategic litigation, and sustained media engagement. And I want to salute our friends in the media for their consistency. Without the collective action of Spaces for Change and the Action Group, and committed lawyers like Akariwe SAN, and supportive funders such as the Fund for Global Human Rights, this outcome, this heavy foam from Nyukota Mamerano, might have been very different. At RULAC, we reaffirm our commitment to, one, defending the rights of activists and human rights defenders, commitment to challenging abuse of police and prosecutorial powers, our commitment to exposing the misuse of criminal law to settle political or personal scores, and our commitment to insisting that the justice system must never, ever be used as a tool of repression. We congratulate Comrade Emmanuel Atta on his freedom. We commend him for his commitment, his resilience. We commend his resilience and salute all partners who stood firm throughout this ordeal. At the same time, we remind the authorities that acquittal after prolonged detention does not erase the harm caused, nor does it absolve the state of responsibility. The struggle to protect civic space in Nigeria continues, but today's victory sends a clear message. Solidarity works. The law still matters, and repression can be resisted. I remember that I told Victoria when this news first broke at the platform that when a man has had time to heal and process his experience, he should consider writing about his time in prison. That every ordeal, however painful, presents an opportunity to document realities that are often hidden from public view. First-hand accounts of incarceration are powerful evidence capable of exposing systemic abuses, challenging official narratives, and strengthening advocacy for prison and criminal justice reform. Such documentation not only honors personal resilience, but also contributes meaningfully to the effective struggle for a more humane and accountable justice system. Thank you, everyone. Congratulations.
You know, when civic actors talk, you begin to feel the impact yourself. I feel so motivated to lift up placards and go into the streets now. So thank you so much, comrade. You said it all. Solidarity beyond the victory we're celebrating today. Solidarity works. Thank you. So I'll move on to comrade Nelson Nana to share with us some of his reflections on this subject too.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I will start from who is Emmanuel Acha. Emmanuel Acha is a human rights defender and a civil society advocate. And he's also the chairperson of the Enugu State Civil Society Network and has been active in advocating for communities affected by conflict, particularly in the Effiong Eza community in Ebonyi State. Circumstances that funded Emmanuel Acha arrest and his detention. Emmanuel Acha was picked in his house at Enugu on March, and then was transferred to a police station at Abakaliki, Ebonyi, where he was detained for weeks before he was arraigned in court. What were his charges? His charges was that he was challenging the communal crisis in his community, and then by supporting the community effort to litigate an action against the government of Ebonyi State. And that really turned out for the state actors to come up with trouble up charges against him. Charges like possession of firearms, supporting communal conflict, breakdown of law and order, inciting the populace against the government, the issue of bribery and corruption, and so many troubled up charges against Emmanuel Acha was brought against him by the state because of his challenge on the state on the boundary issues in his community. So what really happened? Emmanuel Acha was arraigned at the magistrate court, and he stayed in detention for 2 weeks, and the legal team filed an action for his bail in the High Court, and when the legal team filed that action for his bail in the High Court, then the prosecutors now file another action in another High Court challenging the bail. The bail application was extensively discussed and argued in the court, and the court denied him bail and said that Emmanuel Acha will have to face the trial. The process continued by the handling of their family lawyer who was handling this particular case. So when the action group of Free Civil Space did an analysis of the whole matter and found out how toxic the whole matter has become, and also the plan of the state to imprison Acha. Many thanks to the leader of the action group, Barrister Victoria Henry. So then she stepped in and mobilized support from the Action Group on Free Civil Space, and they engaged a stronger legal team led by the SAN. And the legal team moved into action, did a lot of legal analysis, did a lot of legal interventions, engaged with relevant stakeholders, with the family of Emmanuel Acha, then with the community people. I was able to find out actually what the issues, and they went into the action. So the matter continued from the PW1 cross-examination and various legal processes, until at a point that the court found out that Emmanuel Acha was not guilty of all the trumped-up charges that he was being accused of. Then, after being in a cassation for 200 days, the court discharged and acquitted him. And this singular effort was galvanized by the Action Group on Free Civil Space through a press conference in the Southeast. There was a joint press conference, international press conference in the Southeast, where all the Southeast human rights activists and pro-democracy groups were calling the governor of Ebonyi State to release Emmanuel Acha unconditionally. The Action Group on Free Civil Space also submitted a petition to the governor of Ebonyi State, asking him and release Acha unconditionally. And then also there were a lot of interventions by the civil society groups and human rights groups, National Human Rights Commission, and some other relevant stakeholders across the Southeast. The Action Group on Free Civil Space also had a world press conference in Lagos, where they also draw the attention of the world of actually what is happening and how Emmanuel Acha was incarcerated. And then today we are here now celebrating the release of Emmanuel Acha. And we hope that this will be a lesson of a coordinated effort, a lesson of joint action, a lesson of solidarity, so that the civil groups will continue to work together to protect their own. We will continue to challenge the status quo. We will continue to engage government to ensure that we protect fundamental human rights. Then we continue to ensure that the rights of the citizens are being protected, especially looking at the communities and the economic and the political rights of the citizens will continue to be sustained. So we, as FINRAD, we commend the resilience of Emmanuel Acha, which we visited him during this oddly. We visited him in the correctional center. We had a lot of conversation with him. We visited with his family, and he was in very high spirit. Everything visited. He said nothing is happening. He's always laughing. He's always hopeful. Even when there's another ruling in the court, he continued to have hope that God will definitely that we're going to get a victory. So today, and we're here now celebrating him. We are now celebrating the effort of Action Group on Free Civil Space. We are also celebrating the role that all the civil actors and the human rights groups has played to ensure that Acha is released. And today is a lesson for us, so that we continue to be resilient, so that we continue to challenge the status quo, so that we continue to engage government at all levels, so that we continue to defend political and human rights of the citizenry, so that we can bring justice at all levels. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Comrade Nana. And without further, let's hear from the man of the moment to give us his background and personal account. Now, so we know that we've had some, let's just say snippets of accounts from partners who have spoken before him, but there is nobody can tell the story better than the man who lived through it. So let's give it once more for Comrade Emmanuel Acha.
I'm just short of words. These are statements by myself at the press briefing organized by the Action Group on Free Civic Space. We could remember the members of the Action Group. That was on the 12th of March, where we had our Action Group retreats in Lagos here. I made a statement while I was presenting my plans for the year for the Civic Space and Security Project. I say this year is going to be about going to court, litigations, and we all busted. I didn't know that I was actually prophesying to myself. So, and it happened. Good morning, distinguished colleagues, members of the press, human rights advocates, and friends of civil society. Because my name is Comrade Emmanuel Archer, a human rights defender and activist dedicated to promoting peace, justice, and civic space in Nigeria. I stand before you today to share my harrowing experience of abduction, illegal detention, and the eventual triumph of justice that culminated in my discharge and acquittal from all charges. My story is not just about my personal ordeal. This is a medicated glass. My story is not just about my personal ordeal, but also a reflection of the ongoing challenges faced by human rights defenders in Nigeria. First and foremost, I extend my sincere gratitude to the Action Group on Free Civic Space, Spaces for Change, Lagos, and the Fund for Global Human Rights, whose unwavering solidarity, legal and media advocacy, and funding support have been instrumental throughout this ordeal. Your commitment to defending human rights and civic space in Nigeria is truly inspiring. I also want to express my profound gratitude to all those who stood by me, my family, friends, colleagues, and the civil society organizations that refuse to let my voice be silenced. Your unwavering support has been a beacon of hope in these dark times. This press conference aims to shed light on the dangers faced by civic activists, the implications of arbitrary detention, and the urgent need to protect civic space and human rights defenders against state-sponsored intimidation, harassment, and abuse. On March 19, 2025, around 5:30 a.m., while still enjoying my early morning sleep, I was unlawfully abducted from my residence in Enugu by a team of heavily armed, unidentified security operatives. Without any prior notice and arrest warrant, I was whisked away and first taken to the Abakpa Area Command of the Nigerian Police Force in Enugu State. About 30 minutes later, I was handed over to another team of security operatives and forcefully ordered to enter a private vehicle with a team of 5 officers on mufti. I remembered asking one of the officers, where was I taken to? And she replied that they are taking me to Abakaliki on the order of the state governor. I endured the torture of being conveyed like a common criminal on a handcuff from my residence to my area command, Enugu, and then to the State Criminal Investigation Department. That's State CID in Abakaliki, Ebonyi State. The ordeal was traumatic and shocking as I was subjected to incommunicado detention without any formal charges or warrants. During my 2 days at the State CID, I was denied access to legal counsel and my family. The environment was hostile. I was physically tortured and endured psychological trauma from the sudden loss of freedom and uncertainty of my fate. This initial detention marked the beginning of a 273-day period of understand how the custodial center infiltrates human rights abuses under the guise of law enforcement, threatening the civil space and the safety of civil rights defenders in their custody. During this harrowing ordeal, I faced a trial that lasted 9 months. The charges against me included promotion of intercommunal war, preparation and aiding in carrying out communal violence between the Humanized tribes, unlawful possession of firearms, and sponsoring killings. These allegations were clearly baseless and politically motivated. The prosecution failed to provide admissible evidence. During cross-examination, the investigative police officer admitted under oath that no arms were recovered from me, and the witnesses invited by the prosecution, such as Dr. James Agina, who is the President General of the Communist Union, and his secretary, Mr. Amos Akpa, and 2 others he recruited for the hatchet job, failed to appear in court despite multiple invitations. The only evidence against me were hearsays, which the court rightly rejected. On December 16, 2025, the court discharged and acquitted me, citing a no-case submission led by Akariwe Ikazo SAN, here with us today. This victory was not just a personal triumph, but a vindication of justice and the rule of law. However, it did not erase the trauma, losses, or the damages inflicted during my detention. My incarceration inflicted severe psychological trauma, anxiety, depression, and a sense of helplessness. The human condition, coupled with the uncertainty and fear of losing my life, scared me deeply. Economically, the long detention deprived me of my office work and civil society engagements. I lost opportunities, income, and reputation. The prolonged absence from my activism work also meant that communities, especially my advocacy efforts for civic space, suffered setbacks. My family bore emotional and financial burdens, facing stigma and hardship due to my detention. My detention resulted in the loss of my family accommodation where I kept them for safety, accumulated rents, office, and house accommodations. Despite the court's ruling, I have yet to receive any form of compensation or redress for these losses, which underscores the need for systemic reforms to protect victims of wrongful detention. My experience underscores critical lessons for Nigeria's civil space and human rights defenders. It exposes how state security agencies often misuse their powers to intimidate and silence activists, especially those advocating for marginalized communities. It highlights the urgent need to strengthen legal protections, ensure accountability, and uphold the rights of detainees. The abuse of the justice system to justify arbitrary detention undermines our democracy and civic space, threatening the very foundation of Nigeria's constitutional democracy. Furthermore, it emphasizes the importance of solidarity among civil society groups and the role of advocacy and media in amplifying victims' voices, fighting impunity, and safeguarding civic rights. My detention profoundly affected my family and loved ones. My children, wife, and relatives endure emotional pain and social stigma. The economic strain was significant, and resources were diverted to legal costs and healthcare. Although I have been discharged and acquitted, the threat to my safety and that of my family persists. The risk of reprisal, harassment, or targeted violence remain high, especially for activists who challenge powerful interests. It is crucial that civil society organizations and other stakeholders work together to ensure the protection and security of human rights defenders like myself. This includes providing protective mechanisms, legal safeguard, asylum, and psychosocial support to survivors of persecution and their dependents. We must recognize that true justice extends beyond court rulings. It requires active measures to guarantee the safety and dignity of those who stand up for civic rights. In the civil society arena, my experience reflects the broader plight of human rights defenders in Nigeria. It reveals how activists are targeted, criminalized, and how civic space is under threat from oppressive security policies. It is a stark reminder that our collective efforts must continue to defend human rights, promote justice, and resist authoritarian tendencies. While I am grateful for my court victory, justice is incomplete without proper redress. I call on the Nigerian government and relevant authorities to compensate victims of wrongful detention, including myself, for the material and emotional loss incurred. This will serve as a deterrent against future abuses and reinforce respect for human rights. I also appeal for continued support for the Effiong Rescue Mission Group, a community-based organization determined to use human rights-based approach, litigation and advocacy to demand justice for their people. Their resilience exemplifies the importance of grassroots activism in defending human rights. In conclusion, I want to reaffirm my commitment to the fight for civic space, justice, and human rights in Nigeria. My experience, though painful, has strengthened my resolve to advocate for a Nigeria where civic freedoms are protected and human rights are upheld without fear of favor. I send my heartfelt appreciation to all civil society organizations, media partners, and international allies who have stood by me through this ordeal. Your solidarity fuels our collective struggle for justice and dignity. At this juncture, I won't fail to recognize the special role played by Madam Victoria Idezim Ohere, Comrade Nelson Nnanna-Nwafor, Comrade Okechukwu Nwanguma, Mr. James Ugochukwu Onyinye Mama, the legal and civic space teams of the Spaces for Change, and indeed members of the Action Group on Free Civic Space, and many others who matched their voices with action to ensure my freedom and justice while in detention. We will continue to work together to build a country where the rights of every citizen are respected, protected, and fulfilled. Thank you all for your attention and support.
Thank you so much. Without further ado, let us hear from let us get the legal perspective from the legal team. Overview of the legal of this case and what it implies for
I would want to first of all thank the Action Group on Free Civic Space, Spaces for Change, Mrs. Victoria Idezim Ohere, for reposing confidence in us to handle. There are many lawyers in Nigeria, Southeast, but you thought us fit to handle the matter, and I'm glad we did not disappoint. I think most importantly, there's somebody I must commend, Honorable Justice Otta, the judge who handled the case. You heard the story as Emmanuel was arrested. He was told by the police on the orders of the Ebonyi State government. The case did not go to the Federal High Court, but to the Ebonyi State High Court. And Honorable Justice Otta is on the payroll of the Ebonyi State. And excellent in knowledge of the law, bold and confident, and will do the truth irrespective of whose ox is gored. She was on the bench of the Gambia, the Republic of the Gambia, and then she's also worked in the justice sector in Swaziland. She has a lot of international experience, and then she now came home to her home state. It's on the bench in her home state, and Emmanuel says that the matter lasted 9 months. this matter could jolly well have lasted for years. But the approach of that judge, every matter she's doing, she brooks no nonsense. No nonsense from lawyers, no nonsense from litigants. She moves at the speed of light. And I think she deserves some commendation. The two charges against Emmanuel Archer could have really gotten him life imprisonment. Promoting local war, Section 42 of the Criminal Code Law of the states, and unlawful possession of firearms, contrary to Section 3 of the Firearms Act, laws of the Federation of Nigeria. And the prosecution were abysmally unable to prove any of the charges. The essential elements of the offense of promoting local war are 4 in number. 1, there must be an overt act or conduct that encourages or aids or advises the carrying on of a war or undertaking to fight a war. The second is that this act is done without lawful authority, because there can be lawful authority to undertake war. Number 3, that the accused, Emmanuel Archer, intend to cause is likely to lead. And was that none of these 4 elements were established by the prosecution. The Supreme Court actually established these 4 elements in the case of Usman Gaza and the state 2008 judgment of the Supreme Court. The overt act or conduct or promotion of war, there was no overt act. And in cross-examination, I asked the police prosecutor, Sergeant Itumo, I asked him what exactly was the overt act. And he says that Emmanuel Archer was asking people to pay money to institute legal action against the government. And that really wags the finger of suspicion at the government. That he was encouraging people to pay money to institute legal action against the government. And then the question was, I can understand that legal action is civilized warfare. It's courtroom warfare. But did he instigate war between the communities by asking people to pay money? And the gentleman was unable to answer. And I must say that he's unfit to be a police officer in a civilized climate, because he was so aggressively committed to seeing that Emmanuel was incarcerated. And he was rude. And actually, he may want to take me to court for defamation, if he likes, but he was answering to the bid of the paymasters. And then he also said that if we go to the Facebook posts of Emmanuel Archer, we will find where he was instigating war. And so, well, I asked him, give us the Facebook posts. You are the investigator. So you should have printed them out. He said the courts and I should go to the Facebook and get the posts, which, of course, is basic law that the court will not be sent on a fishing expedition. The court will help you get your evidence. And then he also brought some WhatsApp messages where Emmanuel was saying to people who contribute money, 5,000 naira each, not to buy weapons, or to go to court, to challenge the government. If we criminalize going to court, then what is the option for the common man? If you criminalize going to court, and people are going to go to war. Actually, that we can ventilate grievances in court is safe for everybody. But if a man who wants to go to court and is trying to mobilize the populace to go to court, if the man has to be incarcerated for 273 days, then next time people will not mobilize action for court. They will do worse. They will do what they charged him for. So this was the utter depravity of the case. Also, another element of that offense, that the act was done without lawful authority, and the inspector, I think it's not sergeant, inspector, who gave evidence, investigating police officer, said that Emmanuel Acha did not have the lawful authority to raise money because he's not the leader of his community. Therefore, he's not supposed to raise money. Assuming but not conceding that Emmanuel is not the leader of the community, does raising money for legal action, does it amount to instigating warfare? That is the point that we made. And there's no law that stops an individual from telling the members of the community, hey guys, we need to go to court and challenge this, and we need to raise funds. There's no law. You don't have to be the President General of a community. He's a citizen of Nigeria with his rights. He says there is a problem. There is a problem. We need to go to court. Maybe the president of the community is not in agreement. Then he says, okay, guys, pay your money to this account, not his account. There's another account. And let us go to court. Let those who are agreed go to court. There's nothing more civilized than that. That's civilization. So he was incarcerated for being civilized. Yes. Then the third element for that offense of instigating warfare is intent to cause violence or unrest. Let me not waste your time going into the technicalities of this. There was no intention to cause violence or unrest. There was no proof at all. I asked the police IPO, said, where are the guns? Where are the guns he procured? Where are the people he instigated? How come somebody wants to cause war and he's the only one in court? Where are the people? And he was going to cause war. And the man went back and forth. Where is the ballistic report of the weapons? And that brings me right to the next one. Unlawful possession of firearms. Now, if a man is in unlawful possession of firearms, where are the firearms? The first thing you are going to tender in court is the firearm, isn't it? Where are the firearms? Where is the ballistic report of the firearms? Nothing at all. And this is so painful. This was a weaponization of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. It was a weaponization of the Criminal Code law. This is not acceptable. It is just not acceptable that citizens can be incarcerated and trauma this gentleman went through, his wife and children, and the civil society, the human rights community. You know, like the Ubuntu philosophy of East Africa. Because I am involved, we are all involved. If one person suffers, we all suffer. If one person enjoys, we all enjoy. So how could one person be allowed to go through this kind of experience? And another allegation against Emmanuel was that the government of Ebonyi State called the Effium people for a meeting, for that the Effium people boycotted the call because of him. Even that there was no evidence of that. There was not one Effium who said, I didn't answer the call of the government because of him. No evidence in writing, no human testimony, just one allegation after the other. Now, the offense of unlawful possession of firearms has three elements, and none again were proved. This is one of the worst kinds of prosecution I ever experience. In my, I think it's 40 years now. I was called to River 1985. In 40 years, I have not seen this kind of completely incompetent, malicious prosecution, which they did not even attempt to cover up. They didn't even attempt to bring a machete or a din gun, which they recovered from some robber, and say it is his gun. They didn't even attempt it, you know. And the three elements: one, actual or constructive possession of the firearm. No firearm was found, and the firearms must be firearms within the meaning of the Robbery and Firearms Special Provisions Act, and then having a firearm without a valid license. First of all, the case failed on the first one. This charge failed on the first one. If there was no actual or constructive possession of a firearm, then the firearm cannot even be within the meaning of the Firearms Act, and they cannot be issued of a valid license. So a citizen of Nigeria was actually incarcerated 273 days in the worst possible conditions for no reason whatsoever, except that he had the temerity to speak truth to power. I don't understand it. Do we want? Olisa Abakoba SAN has said that military rule was actually less oppressive than civilian rule. No, let me use this word. The military rule was less dangerous than civilian rule. I know Olisa went to detention under military rule. His passport was seized, but he has said so, and it is worrisome. And we all, as citizens of Nigeria, I speak as a human rights lawyer now, must rise up. We must rise up and tell those in power that we put them there. Whether they rig themselves in there or not, the purportment is that we put them there. And therefore, we must insist that they are answerable to us, they are accountable to us, and they cannot incarcerate a citizen. For every moment he was there, I was there. I was incarcerated. We all were incarcerated. And it is so important that we don't let this one go. We don't let it go. How will we go about it? We can decide, but it mustn't go. When elections come up next year, it must come up as one of the election issues that the governor has to address. The Attorney General of that state has to address it. Why did this happen to a citizen? We have to insist on accountability. They are our servants. We are their masters. They serve us, and they cannot treat a citizen in that way because they don't like what we say. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ikazo Akariwe-san. Thank you so much for that very depth analysis of the legal efforts that were put in place that culminated to the release of Comrade Emmanuel Acha. So before we proceed, I know there were a lot of mention about go to court. Let me officially tell you we have a go to court report here that we'll graciously give to you for your light reading before you leave. So so we'll offer each of you a copy for you to get an insight into, when you hear go to court, you will get an insight into what we are talking about from the civil society perspective. So thank you so much for that. Action group members, for those of them joining us virtually, we can see your hands up. We'll get to you shortly for your reflections, but before then, we'll turn you to the media now. If you have any questions that you would like to raise for further clarification, now is the time. Okay, yeah.
I work for appreciations. So the namesake here, my namesake is a friend, put on Facebook just as Madam Victoria. So when I stopped hearing from Emma his IFUM report, I was wondering. So I saw a newspaper about him. As I started searching, that was when I approached you and asked, because I saw Spaces for Change too. I said, okay, this, she now directed me to Mr. Alan, and we invited him for interview for TV, and that's how. So, Emma, first of all, because I have not had that experience, and I don't have that, but I must commend each and every one of you, the civil society that have played this particular role. But my concern, just as has been mentioned, I don't believe that it ends here. I think it should be going further. But instead of should be sued.
Peter Ozoho from this day newspapers. So, Mr. Manuel, congratulations on your victory. And also, congratulations to all the partners that worked together to ensure that this victory was secured. I have a few questions. One is, during your detention, was there any overt or covert approach by the government or its agencies, to make you offer to dump this, this effort, this case? Was there any such approach that you must drop this case, or you continue to be incarcerated? That's number one. And number two is, I don't know if did the court during the judgment, did they make any pronouncement that the state government must compensate you, with so amount, considering the torture you went through, considering the unproven charges against you? And number three is, this land in question, was it related to, why the government is involved in this land? What they want a particular community to, to be declared the owner of this land. So is it related to a community, an architecture? Does it have to do with an infrastructure?
left for Lagos. So what I'm trying to say here is, congratulations, my brother, for coming. But we must condemn this act. We must condemn it in all totality. Like our essay said here, it's not just putting it as a campaign item to demand from the government. What I want to say is that, you see, a dialogue like this should be instituted, should be hosted in Ebonyi State. So let citizens know, you know, we must come up with a dialogue on the release, incarceration, unjustly incarceration of Emmanuel, and let it be a program, a functional program in Ebonyi State. Not just one, not just two. So let government start seeing it, because then they definitely will pay for this. So that is my advice. By the special grace of God, I agree with all. I think it's a project for us to continue. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am touched and I'm moved. Mine is not room. If you are locked for some days, you know what it means. Not to talk of when you are locked with those who are wide. You see, this heart is not happening in this establishment or agency or organization. It happens in the media as well. I think it happens in the media. I know a colleague that was locked for years by El-Rufai, as so many of them. But I just want to appeal to the society group that you cut across all strata, irrespective of what happens. It's an injustice. It's an injustice to everyone. So I just want to ask the Learned SAN, please, sir, did you get the 2 certified copy of the judgment? Because I expected the judge to have award a compensation. I haven't known the truth of the matter. Because if she or he has not done that, then there's need for this society to push further. Because what it means that it could happen to any other person, and we just pass a judgment, is free and let it go. What happened to all the losses or what he has been through? So we also, just what the last speaker just said, this issue, this press conference need to hold at that state, so that it will be well escalated if it holds in that state, so that people will know what the government of that state is doing to their humanity.
You mentioned press conference. I made a download. It's an enlarged gathering, bringing citizens to. It's not just a press thing, so that it take it back to the community and conscientize citizens.
Yeah, you see, in as much as you want to dialogue with people, if you dialogue and without the media, it's just like discussing with yourself. You also need to bring the media to it, those trusted media, because he just said is that some media, government will pocket them. The trusted media that you believe in, then you also make it viral. You are into social media so that people will know. Those are the cases that the international community are interested in. So let us see what we can do as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think I omitted to mention a critical fact, excuse me, that the case ended on a no-case submission. That is part of why it didn't last too long. Once the prosecution closed their case and we were to put him in the witness box, we told the court that there was no case made out against him for him to enter the witness box and defend himself. So that we have a no-case submission to make. Maybe you remember the Nnamdi Kanu trial, where his lawyer said there was no case made out against him, but the court overruled them. So we made this no case submission. And when a court rules on a no case submission, it is not really, because it's not really saying that the person did not commit the offense. The court is saying that what the prosecution has adduced, what they put forward, is insufficient to convict him. So I know that under the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, that there is a provision for award of damages. There is a provision in criminal matters, which was never there before in the old criminal jurisprudence in Nigeria. But because the matter did not go on and progress to where all the evidence was evaluated, but it stopped that the only witness they have called, the only evidence they have, was not sufficient to convict him. So the court did not now go to that point of talking about damage. We didn't even raise it. But there's nothing stopping us from raising it in civil action for damage. But I'm not investigate litigation. It's not for me to do that. And you don't have to brief me if you take that decision. But perhaps he will consider his options and know whether he wants to go that way to ask for damages. But most importantly is that it can happen tomorrow to somebody, and it's been happening to a lot of people. We need government to be accountable for their actions. A lot of irresponsibility is stopped. And what about pure and simple irresponsible?
Thank you so much for that. So we know. You want to Okay. Okay. Now we're moving on to our online participants. Before we allow Comrade Acha react to it. So online participants, I can see some hands up. Chibundo Uche. Uchewu. Uchewu. Sorry, Uchewu. So, any of our online participants that want to share some thoughts on our conversation so far?
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Again.
Yeah. Good afternoon.
My name is Rafi Lawal, Executive Director of Building Blocks for Peace Foundation, Abuja. Let me start by congratulating Comrade Acha for his release. I'm so happy because a lot of people went that route and they didn't come back alive. People are disappearing without any traces whatsoever. So we are happy that you went and that you are also back. I think I also want to support the initiative that the release of Comrade Acha should not be the end of this process. I think the state government should be sued. And the reason is because it will serve as a deterrent, not just for the Ebonyi State government, but also for other governments, whether at the state level or even at the national level, that are taking this route of silencing opposition, silencing activists at will. Whether we are going to win or not, I think it is worth trying. Of course, there is no amount of compensation that can be given that will be equivalent to the trauma, that will be equivalent to the pains and all the emotional issues that has happened to our comrade. So for me, I think we need to sue this government so that they know that the civil society can no longer be taken for a ride, and that cases like this should not be taken to court at all. So thank you so much to the Action Group Secretariat, the leadership under Barrister Victoria. More power to your elbow. Over to you. Okay, good
Yes.
afternoon. Can I say hello?
Sorry, my hand is off since, and
Hello?
I'm never permitted to talk, please.
Hello?
Yeah, okay. Mr. Chubundu, maybe you can go first, then we can now hear Mr. Musbao.
Okay, thank you, sir. Good afternoon to all participants. Let me begin by saying that all praise and thanks be to Almighty Allah for granting us to witness this very, very gigantic and most important gathering or press briefing ever had in the civic space in the Nigerian history of my words. I can say of my words because in the last 1 decade, we have never had a kind of situation where the civil society gather in one places or in one platform, agitating and also fighting for the right of our colleagues in struggle. Sorry, my name is Comrade Musbao Basurka. As Elias said, I'm from Jigawa State. I'm also the chairman of the Civil Society Coalition of Peace, Security, and Conflict Resolution based in Jigawa State, Northwest Nigeria. And let me also use the opportunity once again to congratulate my very good friend and very good brother, Comrade Emmanuel Acha, for also having this kind of recognition, also freedom us at last. And I think above all, I will use this opportunity also to thank the organizers of this special press briefing. And it gives us a lot of hopes and also a lot of courage. We that we are from the Northwest, and you know how the issue of politics and the rest is happening, and most of the time our government here used to silence most of the powerful human rights and civil society activists in certain occasion, and there's a lot of report that is underreported and would need to be reported to the action group and also the global human rights. So I think not taking much of your time, I am appreciating the effort of my colleagues across the across the 30 states, and including Abuja and the organizers and those that have stand firm, especially Comrade Inanna. I can see his effort, honestly speaking. We have been talking, and I have been seeing him visiting Emmanuel Acha in court proceeding and what have you. Him and other legal team that I cannot mention the name. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity also to be part of this today's historic event. It will be there in my mind forever, inshallah. Thank you very much and congratulations to all of us here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mishbao. Mr. Chibundu, are you available now?
Okay, yeah, I've always been available. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Yeah, and good afternoon, my own friend and colleague, Emmanuel Acha, for your release. I'm not going to stress on the collective action that produces collective impact. Much has been stressed on that. Now, I want to say this. I think the Constitution is clear. The role of the state, the role of the governor, the role of the president. That the governor, when taking out of office, have the responsibility to protect, preserve, and defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The Constitution that guarantees freedom of speech and freedom to do your business, to do, listen to the learned SAN, but what Emma did, that he was calling people to pay off for litigation. All these are attributes of democracy. They are enshrined in our Constitution. And the state has the authority, the government has the authority, has the responsibility to protect all this. Now, Emma has received justice. The question now is, has the state received its own justice? The answer is no, meaning that Emma equally needs justice. Justice that the state should get. The learned SAN said that in the course of the election, the people can punish, use their votes to punish wrongdoing. But with what happened in Anambra State last November, I do not think that provision is there available for the people to exercise in 2027. No, I'm not going to accept that, meaning that the state here has to be sued. Of course, I support that. There's been a call for that.
The state, who is the governor, has to be sued here. Suppression of civil state, I must say that it's not, sorry, my name is Chibundu Chibu. I'm calling from Owerri, Imo State. Yesterday, my own governor, he marked his 6 years in office. Now, I asked a question in the platform where the governor also is a member of that belongs to. Yes, he has done this, he has done that. But what is our human rights records? The same question goes to Ebonyi State. What is Ebonyi State's human rights records? What is it? So the state has to be sued. And a man needs compensation. That is the only way we believe in civil society that he has been released and he has been given due compensation, not just compensation, but due compensation. Then we will rejoice here, truly we have secured victory. Then lastly, from my own angle, a lesson learned. Some of us, with what happens to Emma, by God's grace, he was not there to celebrate 2025 Christmas and New Year celebrations. I actually cherish that. Now, some of us can still believe in judiciary. The learned SAN said it was issue of no case submission. And I tell you, most judges, my friend and leader Uche Onyeakocha said, judiciary is the most corrupt institution in the country. Now, most judges, what the learned judge did, most judges will not do that. But he said, no, let me say this, and let me affirm this, that I will uphold the cause of justice. And it was done. So most of us, personally, Chibundo, I still believe in the cause of justice. There are some judges in this country that can we always uphold and look up to for justice. So I thank everybody and I thank my colleagues. Good afternoon again. Once again, thank you so much. Chibundo Chebu from Owerri, Imo State.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Chibundo. Swiss Noble, I see your hand is up. Do you have anything to add? Do you have any reflection?
Yes. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Right. So I would like to congratulate my own brother, Comrade Emmanuel Acha. He's my own brother. We're from the same community. And also the judge, yes, the judge and the lawyer, the SAN, who fought this battle, and thank God it's a victory. So what I want to draw the attention of the world up to is to the rascality and the excesses of the Ebonyi State government. This might sound like an allegation, but I want people to really look down because I'm from there. My name is Ugochukwu Ede, and I'm a student, but I study here in the Southwest. So I am from where Mr. Emmanuel Acha, Comrade Emmanuel Acha, is from. So the activities of the Ebonyi State government is not just this government. It is for a 2 tenure now, or administration past, it has been the same thing. They are more powerful than the people who elect them, even though it is the reality in some part of the country now. The North might be experiencing banditry, but in Ebonyi State, we are experiencing suppression. Political power overrides the will of the people. You don't have any say if the government doesn't want it. And I want also to draw our attention to the issue of Effium case and the communal crisis in the states. Everywhere, communal crisis. And these crises are not too complex for the government to solve. Rather, their interest overrides the interest of the people. Unless it will stop election from holding, they will intervene. And once they win elections, they do not care about the killings of the people. What stops the Ebonyi State government from calling the two parties in Effium to say, how do we work this out? Rather, they are dictating for one part because the other people have no much people, or not even at all, or the ones they have in the government are cowards, saying yes out to people who are suppressing their own people. The people who seem to be the representatives of Efiong people are those who cannot leave what their stomach will eat to fight for what will salvage their souls. So what I'm trying to say in essence is, if Emmanuel Acha is doing well, just like everybody knows, he is the only person doing this, and we need the support of other people, just like he rightly said, that the rescue mission needs to be empowered so that our voice can be heard. As a student here, my identity is always not known because of the suppression that the Ebonyi State government has put us there. We are attacked anywhere we are seen by the people we have crisis together with, because the government is siding them, treating our people. When a coffee is imposed or whatever ceasefire is imposed, the other party will break it and the government will do nothing. And when our people decide to react with, it could be sometimes not matched with sticks, the government will crack down on us, deal with us, stop our people from going to the market. Survivor in a war crimes committed in the community. Food is not to be neglected. Even in the international community, you don't stop people from eating in a war. But the Ebonyi State government, through its military, the Nigerian police and army, stop our people from accessing food from the neighboring Mbo community. So it is a very big situation, and I want to know if, as a student, I can also hear my voice or even join the action group, because there are a lot of things to do in Ebonyi State, because people are dying. A student or a boy was talking the essence of the SSCs of a senator in one of the local governments in Ebonyi State. The senator is grabbing people's land, killing people, and this boy came out to say it online, and today the boy is no more. Nobody hears from him. The way Comrade Acha was abducted, that was how he was captured in his bedroom, and today we do not hear from him. We are Nigerians. Trend will happen for 30 minutes or 30 days. After that, everybody goes back to bed. The boy is where he may be suffering if he's alive. So the SSCs in Ebonyi State is too much. The administrations are not after the welfare of the people. Elections and community interest, because what they are interested in Ebonyi State, just like one of the people asked them, what is there that the government is concerned? Mineral resources, that's the only thing. And they want to give it to the people who they can control and not to the right owner of the Efiong people. The land is Efiong, and the people who want to share it with us are the people that we accepted, our forefathers accepted, and every document to back this claim up. So, but the government does not want to go the easy way. They want to do it by the power way. And I want to stop here by also saying thank you to everybody who have been giving Emmanuel Acha the support and the love. He's our brother. And to some of us who know his value, we are working behind him, we are working beside him, and every part that you may need us. And we are very glad that he's back. Thank you, everybody, for giving me your listening ears. My name is Ugochukwu Ede. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ugochukwu Ede. And thank you for indicating interest to join the coalition. You can always leave a message on the chat, and my colleague will get back to you accordingly. Wrap it up for this convention. Thank you.
Thank you so much, the moderator. I think the learner seek has already answered some of the questions. So from Peter this day, right? It was the only media that asked a question regarding that are directed towards me. The first question I asked was whether there's any soft approach, any covert or overt approach by the government while I was in incarceration to drop the case. I think that was the question, right? So I could say yes. You know, maybe I didn't talk about why the reason why I was actually arrested and detained. You know, that was December 2020. That was November 2024, where some few of us from the community, when the government made a threat that is going to demarcate our land, the ancestral land, and give to another tribe, so that we're having issues with and all that. So some of us say, this is not the right approach by the government. And we decided to go to court to challenge that threat to demarcate the land. So when we went to court, we didn't know that the governor has another agenda. Of course, he has agreed with the politicians from so also agreed with politicians from the other community that we are having issues with. And the certain Abakaliki had an agreement. In fact, that even led to some of the inmates that were arrested that 2021 when the war started, because it's part of the agreement, part of what they agreed and all that. But a few of us felt that this is not enough to actually compel us to cede our land for other communities. So we need to go to court to know whether to have a judicial verdict on this action that the government got to take. So around that, from that November, December, January, there were a lot of pressures from the government and from the agents asking me, compelling me to withdraw the case from the court. We say we are not going to withdraw any case from the court. So I think that was when they started the conspiracy against me. So in fact, one of the officers, while I was being converted from Enugu to Abakaliki, made it clear that they say I'm the one petitioning the government. I say, how is it going to court? Me petitioning the government. So now I was arrested and detained. A lot of things happened. In fact, before I was remanded in prison, while still at the state CID, they invited some people from my place, and they invited the members of my family as well to come and have a negotiation so that they can compel me to go and withdraw the matter from this thing. So, and we scheduled on this 21st of March that we're supposed to have a meeting together at the police this thing for me to write a letter of withdrawal. As has gone may have it. Very early morning of that day, the police took me to court, to the magistrate court. So the meeting that was supposed to happen by 12 o'clock, all of us sat together for me to withdraw the decision. It didn't happen again. So perhaps maybe that is the way of God communicating to us that we should be able to do that. The civil side that since this is a community issue, let them relax advocacy for now. I didn't know that I was actually shooting myself on the legs. So that was what happened. So there were all those things were done, the approach were made and all that, but as God may have it, the case was not withdrawn. But what happened is that the case was filed at the Federal High Court. So the judge then asked us to, since it's a purely on land matters, that the State High Court has the jurisdiction over that land matters. So the case should be transferred from the federal to the state. And we went and transferred the case from the federal to the state. And they march on it today. So they march on that case. So even another second case we filed against the government, which is the one that is trending now, because the governor immediately threw me to the prison. They rushed to this to my community and went to actually demarcate the land, created autonomous community, 5 autonomous communities, 2 for the SR, 2 for Effium. One is say that one Effium Bank belongs to the state government. So they were actually dividing, you know, what they call it. They were actually balkanizing Effium land the way they wanted and all that. So, and I told my people, go to court again. That is the one that is even in the court now. And they are still putting even more pressure, threatening people. Like I made mention of, there's a group called Effium Rescue Mission Group. So these are the people that actually, I'm part of them, they are leader in that group, actually. So all those litigation that we are doing is using that group, to address that. So there has been a lot of threats of members, against members of this group to withdraw the matter, even this one. We say we are not going to withdraw it. So I think also my acquittal and discharge has also strengthened this group to stand for their rights and all that. Going to court is not a crime. So I think that's what happened. Another question you asked, does the land has to do with infrastructure? Of course. One thing about the Effium land is a resource-rich community. When you are talking about these solid minerals, and we have the largest forest reserve in Igbo land, Effium Forest. So a lot of interest in Effium. We have solid mineral limestone. Apart from Kalagu, the next in line is Effium. So, and there are a lot of interest around that area, even from the state government and all that. So, and even the people that our forefathers harbored, you know, which is there's other people, and they started expanding the Effium land. They started, you know, even politically taking over some aspects of the Effium community and all that. And now their interest is even in that resources as well. So, and that's why what caused all this war and all that. Now the government is trying to see how they can intervene so that they can allocate whatever thing they want to allocate to whoever person that this is them. And now the indigenous people are saying, no, we cannot balkanize our land and share our resources like that. And that is what I can transfer. Thank you. Yes. Yes.
I know that under the Constitution, there is a provision for public acquisition of land by the government. And I believe that's where the question is coming from. And you have already indicated the fact that your community is a rich resource community. But has there been any time where the government specifically told you that the purpose of the acquisition is for public good? Meaning the government wants to use the land to carry out, maybe set up a factory or do something that will benefit the entire public?
Well, even during if you look at the speech by the governor, look at the speech, I think he cited the issue of public good. Why he's doing this thing is public good. But what is this specific public good they're talking about? He didn't mention that. That is acquiring the Effium community for public good. So what is it? You want to build a hospital? You want to build road? You want to build, which I understand that's what public good is all about. Or you want to build a military in Effium and whatever thing. But Effium land is so big. We are not talking about even whatever government I want to do in that Effium land. You can still have a lot of land. And of course, they're supposed to approach the community. The community will give them the land and they have some consent to give them before doing that. But that's not the purpose. The purpose is to actually take over the land from the indigenous people and give to another people. So it's not really, and that's what we're actually challenging. I think that the government has said, okay, they're coming to, site hospital in Effium, site whatever thing in Effium and all that. It's okay, fine, and good. This is development, and this is what we want actually. But that's not the purpose. The purpose is to take over the land of indigenous people and give to another people. So that is where I think the government got it wrong. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your efforts. Thank you so much. The team gathering here is to thank you and to appeal for your solidarity. We can't do it all alone. We would need your support. We'll continue to leverage your support in making sure that we push back against the shrinking of the civic space in Nigeria and beyond. So thank you so much once again. We have a light refreshment. It's not much, but whatever we offer, please accept it. It's our way of saying thank you for your effort and leveraging this success. We're hoping to break into bigger grounds, into better grounds for civic space in West Africa.
I didn't know you were going to close. I wanted to say something very, very briefly. Very briefly, because I had the SAN talk about the conduct of the police officer who gave, witness, and I think that it is important that the conduct of that police officer brought to the attention of the Police Service Commission. Because and I had him say that such officer is not even fit to be in the police. So when such things happen, and this is part of the challenges of our criminal justice system, a political office holder commits an offense, the court makes a verdict, but stops short of, prescribing punishment. So such a police officer who behaved in such a way that was even rude in the presence of the court ought to be isolated, and his conduct should be brought to the attention of the Police Service Commission. So why I'm saying this, for the SA, and if you can, let us have the details about that officer, and we will write to the Police Service Commission so that we continue to eliminate such misfits and idiots in the police.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, so we'll have the closing remarks, and then we'll take a brief, a group photograph here, and then we'll call it a day.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone, once again. So I just building on what have been said earlier. I just want to we want to appreciate everyone. We want to appreciate your presence, and of course, the solidarity efforts that led to this victory. We want to especially thank the legal team, which was led by Mr. Eka Zakaria SAN. We also want to thank the civil society community for engaging in this intervention. And of course, our media partners who amplified our advocacy effort and all. So we just want to thank all stakeholders across board for their collective effort in ensuring that this resulted in a celebrated victory. So I would like to say thank you. And of course, like it has been earlier established, it's not just a victory for Comrade Emmanuel Archer, neither is it just a victory for the action group. It's a victory for the entire human rights defense ecosystem in Nigeria. And of course, this is also an encouragement, a motivation to keep pushing until a safe, resilient, civic space in the country. Once again, thank you. There is light refreshment which will be distributed. So, yeah, thank you and see you. Hi.
Thank you. So for the photograph would have it against this backdrop, and yeah. Thank you. So we'll have a group photograph here. So if you could join us, Comrade Archer. Yeah, if you can join us there, please. Yeah, we'll use this.
My that is